tomorrow we're going to talk about color relationships, and the most important thing to know about color and relationships is that a color only exists in relation to the colors that are next to it. So this is the work of Joseph Albers, who is this great color theorist, um, and he would look at what happens when you put, a dullish orange next to a dull pink, how the same purples and the same teal color can look totally different depending on the color you put it next to or how big the proportion is. And the reason why, it matters is like this Bryce Martin, it's like the power of that yellow, vivid yellow moving around all those muted colors. And if you look at this Nicole Eisenman, of course our eyes go right to that vivid color in the sea of dull colors. Same here. This is Salmon Tour. We go right to those peach colored pants for many reasons, but because they're light and we're drawn there. And then they knew the power of a light, bright color next to a dull, muted color. So that's what we're going to be talking about in terms of relationship. Like, it's important to know what happens when you put a certain color next to another one. We go immediately to her light flesh color next to the dark woods. And we're going to talk about a few types of contrast so that when you do want to draw the viewer's eyes somewhere, you have the power to. Of course, one of the most obvious is to use light colors next to dark colors. And so in this Monet, which is a very famous painting of his, Impressionists didn't use a lot of contrasting colors, so they often went with the one bit of darkness like that and the one bit of contrast. This is another Salvatore. You go right to that dark vest of his. You go right to the light brightness in the mirror on this Matisse. You go right to the darkness in the front of that Morandi. Rothko often played with value. Matisse used value a lot in that one. The only difference in all these colors is that light background in the back. Your eye is drawn here to this Matisse on the right, the light colored there. Nicole Eisenman, you go right to the apron. So yeah, there's value, and in this, the only difference is the slightly darker bridge. So sometimes it's the only way you can see things. Another thing to be aware of in relationships is how dull or how vivid a hue or a color is, and that has to do with how much you've mixed into it. If you've not mixed any other colors into it, it's vivid, and when you start mixing, the ratios get higher and it gets more dull. But this is a great tool, putting a vivid color next to a dull muted color, or a saturated next to desaturated. It's very powerful. Your eyes go right there. It makes it really dynamic. Matisse did this a lot. So in this image, the very pure, vivid yellow of the lemon next to all of those kind of muted reds, blues, and greens. The very vivid, not desaturated reds on that really dull background. The very brilliant, vivid green apple on all those others, the mixed colors. Nicole Eisenman did this where the entire foreground has been desaturated and the back is still very vivid and it's really dynamic. Another Matisse where it's kind of a sea of a very mixed blue hue with a lot of and then that bright red. Rothko did this a ton. That was one of his tools, was to put these very desaturated, dull colors on bright ones. Again, look at that very vivid hot pink and then the muted kind of yellow-orange on the background. And it's powerful because it makes tension, and so this is a great example of a color next to another color. But all painting is. Danielle McKinney, she often does those really vivid fingernails, especially, but often maybe a bit of clothing or the fingernails on that muted book, and it's very powerful because your eyes go right there. Bryce Martin did this a lot, where he would drop in a vivid, unsaturated color in a sea of very mixed colors. We've talked about this, I won't dwell on this too much, but complementary colors, it's always really great to put complementary colors next to each other because that relationship is guaranteed to be dynamic, and that is what Van Gogh always did. And there's a reason he did it, because it works and it creates an energy, and it's one of the more powerful relationships. It creates something called simultaneous contrast, where it kind of vibrates. More contemporary Salvatore does this all the time, which is that peach on the green. Another powerful relationship is cool next to a warm. Monet did that a lot with the warm haystack and the cool snowy background. And again, it's just a great energy. So again, we're looking at relationships. The Matisse of the red figures on that cool background. Munch did that a lot too. don't know if I'm saying that right. Proportion, also the proportion of a color matters. So I just dropped these in. Look at the difference. It's the same three colors, but the different feel when I've altered how much of each color is represented here. When it's a lot more of the black, that's a heavier feeling in a relationship versus when the biggest proportion is that lighter yellow color. So again, and Joseph Albers, the color theorist, played with this a lot, and there's all sorts of examples of what happens when you change proportion. So if you're painting and your painting is not working, that is another trick up your sleeve, is to put maybe a larger field of muted color with brighter, one in the middle. But that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're going to look at all different sorts of color relationships. Bye. See you tomorrow.